when we talk about your HVAC brand online, we're talking about your .com, your Google My Business account, reviews of your company around the web, regular work being done in blogging and content, and branded search happening, or citations and Google Map postings. These are things that develop your brand online. Facebook and social media direct traffic. Those things develop your brand. So Google looks at you and says, okay, HVAC guy, why do we show you online? And they're going to grade all this stuff.
Yeah.
And that's going to determine your brand online. And it doesn't matter if you call us and tell us how good a guy you are, and it's your third generation HVAC and that you're the best in town, because Google doesn't know. They only know when you started and what's going on, the signals, right?
Right.
And that's the new brand. So you could be the best company in the world and all this stuff, and you could actually have an old school best, best creative for brand, and that might not even help you at all. Hey there, guys. It's Nolan and Jason here with HVAC Webmasters.
Howdy.
How's it going? We're going to talk about, today's topic is understanding your HVAC brand online.
Right.
And so not a brand conversation from
50 years ago, or hell, even 20 years ago.
Yeah, not even a brand conversation, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Because I mean, a brand 20 years ago, even as a local business, you still thought about that brand in traditional advertising medium.
Yeah, this sort of fluffy terms.
Yeah, like people are going to know who you are. You know, you're going to brand to the local township, which they weren't as big 20 years ago. You know, you had areas, we're in a megatropolis here, so they've all kind of melded together. And you could have
Well, I mean, 20 years, we're in Fort Worth, Texas, which is next to Dallas, and 20 years ago, if you drove from Dallas to Fort Worth, which is only an hour away, there was a kind of a swath of nothing in
it. It was green on every side, either side, except when you hit Arlington.
Right.
And then out of Arlington to Fort Worth, it was green on every side.
Yeah, now it's an unbroken sprawl all the way across.
Point is, in the old days, you could have, old days being 20 years ago, 25 years ago, you could have put up some billboards and where we're located in Fort Worth and put up a yellow page, and you could have branded yourself. You know?
Right.
It's really not
comparatively easily.
Comparatively, it would have seemed tough back then, but today it's not. You know, you'd have to have really deep pockets to do that. So,
right.
And then if you're Coca-Cola or Lucky Strike cigarettes or something, it was a different type of branding.
Mad Men reference.
Yeah, it's a different type of branding. A branding that really literally branded to that person. But your digital brand for HVAC companies is really, really important. Right. I had a call today. A lead had come in and somebody was asking, and the guy was real candid, and he was just like, I never even thought about it. And they've been watching some of our podcasts and said that they know they need to do something, but he hadn't thought about it. Thought he was just going to get out. He really, it's fair. At least he was honest about it.
Yeah, and frankly, a lot of people don't understand. They don't understand that Google has so much information all over the place about everybody that it's hard. It's actually just as hard for them as it is for us to separate the signal from the noise.
Well,
and yeah,
I guess so.
I mean,
we're going
to
to talk
for
about
us,
that too.
But they start with a big pile of garbage that they have to sift through.
So the difference in understanding your brand, I guess, is that because people will ask me about stuff, and I'll say, no, that doesn't matter. And what I'm trying to tell them, because I had a guy just call who had this is a different call, he had a very distinguishable name, but he's going to slightly change his business to a different model of what he's going after. And he wanted to change the name of the business. His business was 8 or 9 years old online with 22 Google reviews. And so had this great base. So Google looks at your brand from signals around the web. How long your website's been up, reviews, the algorithm judges everything.
And just as a quick side note, how long your website has been up, as far as Google is concerned, is how long you've been in business. They don't care if this business has existed for 100 years.
Yeah.
The day the website went up is the day that business was born.
That's true. Yeah. They might have chatter about it nowadays, and they might have even created an unofficial Google account if they had enough chatter.
Maybe.
That's unusual, though.
Yeah, but that's pretty unusual.
For a local HVAC company.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's right. So it's like when we talk about, and we're going to discuss some of these areas, but let me run through some of it so you know what the category here is about. When we talk about your HVAC brand online, we're talking about your .com, your Google My Business account, reviews of your company around the web, regular work being done in blogging and content, and branded search happening, or citations and Google Map postings. These are things that develop your brand online. Facebook and social media, direct traffic, those things develop your brand. So Google looks at you and says, okay, HVAC guy, why do we show you online? And they're going to grade all this stuff.
Yeah. And
that's going to determine your brand online. And it doesn't matter if you call us and tell us how good a guy you are, and it's your third generation HVAC and that you're the best in town, because Google doesn't know. They only know when you started and what's going on, the signals, right?
Right.
And that's the new brand. So you could be the best company in the world and all this stuff, and you could actually have an old school best, best creative for brand, and that might not even help you at all.
No,
right?
I mean, it's not unless it's married with all this other stuff. We had a client actually come in the office and meet with us, a potential client. This is like a year ago.
I think I remember who you're talking about.
Yeah, and it was actually a group of guys all running the company.
Home of the $25
That's it.
Yeah.
This dude said to us, like, I don't even know. I should have started keeping a counter of how many
home with a $25 service call.
And $25 service call. And he said it over and over and over. I understood what he was trying to say, and he was giving us the hook, the tagline that he wanted to give.
It was more than that,
customers.
though. He was trying to impress upon Jason and myself how what this feeling was.
Yeah.
And that somehow we were going to, gobble up all this information and then regurgitate it to Google.
And create a website that gave vibes out and told Google these are the right guys.
These guys.
Home with a $25 service.
And it's not that we don't care about what his branded effort was. It's that we know what's going to cause.
No one's ever going to learn about his $25 service call unless we do all this stuff first. Because all this stuff is a foundation that allows you to get that message out.
Correct.
Without this, you can come up with all the great promotions and quippy little taglines and everything else, and all of it matters exactly zero.
I see why you brought him up, though. He was almost the ad man for his own company.
He absolutely was. He reminded me of an old ad man pitch talking to us.
Right.
Because he wanted us to feel this emotional connection with only paying $25 for this.
But it was barking up the wrong tree. Google didn't care.
Yeah, Google.
Because I finally actually did tell this guy, I was like, look, I understand what you're trying to do. You're trying to be passionate about it and tell a story so that we'll get it and be able to make this stuff happen.
Right.
But none of that matters at all.
Not even a little bit.
And they kind of looked at me and I said, you've got to quit thinking that way, because it's a great, real, true client story for this.
Yeah.
You've got to quit thinking that way, because you need to be listening to some of the stuff we're talking to you about, because what we're going to tell you is the important thing. I said, I don't even know what to call it. Your feeling that you're trying to evoke through there is such a minute portion of this.
Yeah.
That's literally, he said, well, when people come to the site, they need to feel this. I said, no, people need to find the site first.
You want me to feel that? I'll put home with a $25 service call in big letters at the top. Done.
That's it. And it's not diminishing it, but that's, you go to the phone, you got this much room, or you go to the website, you got that much room at the top, and there's going to be a call to action, a slogan, the company name, the local phone number, the city you service, or the metro area.
Yeah, and the most important thing is that the phone number is easily visible so they can tap on it and call you.
And
there's nothing more important than that.
If that's a tag, fine. But but they were talking about this before content, before blogging, before GMB optimization. Before reviews.
I don't even think they had a website.
They had a website.
Did they? Okay.
One thing that happened with this client, I love true client stories because we don't talk about them. ultimately, we decided not to work with this client, which I hardly ever do.
Yeah, it's very rare.
It was rare because they were coming at it from this. This was actually not the owner that was doing this. The owner was sitting there very quietly in the corner,
observing us
to find out how much blood he could, stab us out of. He was, and
you're not wrong.
Yeah, but they had very little. They had no respect for the professional services of marketing, or the process of what it was going to take.
Like I said, their ideas were very, very old school.
The ideas
and they didn't want to listen to what we were saying. This
particular guy was from a barter culture, and he didn't care about anything except
how much it was going to cost.
How much it was going to cost, and the price that we had was irrelevant. It was how much he could get us down from that.
Right.
That was.
Yeah. It didn't matter. We could have charged. We could have quoted him $10 a month, and he would have tried to get it to $5.
Yeah. I described that very politically correct. He couldn't get me in trouble for any of it. It was a barter culture individual, and he wasn't going to buy anything.
And what's funny is not only were we in a disconnect with them over the concept of digital branding,
right?
They were in a disconnect with each other,
right? Because the one guy looking for the beat down on the negotiation, and the other guy wanting it out there,
The guy who kept saying $25 service call and wanted this big touchy feely thing, he was asking for what is actually a very expensive kind of campaign.
Yes.
Because he wanted an old Mad Men style campaign with all this other stuff too.
Yeah. And they wanted pay-per-click and everything else.
Yeah, they wanted everything. What they wanted was actually a ridiculous amount of money, or that's what he was asking for.
Right.
But then guy over here was just, I pay nothing.
I will pay nothing. I will get you monkeys to climb all over the place for free. Yeah. So, but the reason that story is important is because the thought process. That's one of many thought processes for why somebody might be off about this. It's vital that you get in your head clearly that you're branding online through Google. The algorithm can read your brand in a myriad of quality ways, and the better you have it set up and the more signaling coming in, the more things being done properly over your competition, the higher chance it is that you're going to show up for your organic keywords, your map placement, your reviews, and lots of other little places to get found.
Right.
Lots of keywords and lots of things.
It's weird because it's actually the kind of branding we're talking about is simple in concept, but not in execution. Because the concept is this is who you are and this is what you do. It's like the most basic kind of marketing you can imagine.
Yeah.
But actually getting that across to Google in such a way that they will pick you out of the other pile of people doing the same thing.
Right.
That's where it gets tricky. And that's where we come in.
That's where we come in. We're much less self-serving on these than we used to be. Right when we started doing podcasting, we're like, I put the pitch into every single
phone number at the bottom.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, yes, this is what you hire somebody like us for. There's very few companies to HVAC webmaster level to do this stuff. It does sound simple, so people miss it.
Right.
They miss it, and they're like, well, I'm not paying for that. I'm like, oh, you mean
you just did that on the computer?
Yeah,
we do everything on the computer.
That is the
Everybody does everything on the computer.
That is the attitude. That is the attitude. It's like literally people with their fingers almost bleeding in there, like doing this work, and the average business person's like, yo, this is ridiculous, and just this complete throw to the wind, Google. Screw it, and they just want, and it's just this disconnect, and it's like your entire business ability, besides buying leads, which by itself isn't going to work well enough. In fact, if your brand is clicking, everything else gets a higher conversion as well. If all this works well, people are going to read your brand and your signals and your reviews and photos and all this stuff, and it helps convert everything else too. But the organic is the best return, flat out, and probably always will be. So yeah, but it is ridiculous, the attitude of someone that doesn't get it and somebody that scoffs it. Yeah. It's like, well, I don't understand the technical aspect of what you do. Therefore,
and that's okay, because you don't have to. That's why we're here.
You don't have to, but you need to know a little bit about it, because unfortunately, not many companies like us do great quality work, but they spew the same thing. They talk about it, they don't do it. They learn what we They learn what we have
They
to
watch
say.
our podcast and they say the same thing.
They say the same thing, but they don't perform the service. So it is important that somebody pick a high-quality web firm, digital marketing agency, because they're unlikely to do all this stuff properly. It's just Google's going to. Y'all have heard of citations, maybe, that you're listing around the web and highly credible websites, so that it's synced up the same way your brand is recognizable. Oh, we'll talk about this one before we get off. If they don't understand your company name, we've thrown this in a few recently.
Yeah. But it's very important. It
is very important. Had a guy call. We talked about it the other day on a different podcast, and he said, "I'm so smart. I'm a genius. I got the company name along with the city, so that it was this heatingair.com with the company name before it.
Right.
I mean, with the city name before it.
Yeah.
And he got this, and his name was a city and heating and air. And it is, if you already have one, it's been up for several years, don't change it. But if you're starting out and you have the ability to change this right now, you want to go ahead and change. You don't want to start up with a word that Google can't determine that it's your brand.
Right. If it sounds like a very general phrase, like we're here in Fort Worth Heating and Air, that sounds like the exact search term someone would put in looking for a local HVAC guy in Fort Worth.
Right.
Now, 2 years ago,
maybe,
but definitely 5 years ago, if you could get that domain, you were golden. That was awesome. But it's changed, or it has been
probably
changed.
Not probably. It's a penalty at this point in time.
Yeah. We've actually been seeing some rumbling where if your domain is too close to a generalized term, they will derank it.
Here's why it's a penalty, even if Google doesn't penalize you, because Google cannot tell and give you credit for all the crud going on your brand.
Right.
That's why it's a penalty. It's a penalty out of default, because if they see somebody has Dallas HVAC Company, and that guy could have been named, Joe Blow, whatever, HVAC.
Yeah.
The Joe Blow HVAC would have been like, boom, there's Joe Blow HVAC, Joe Blow HVAC. Google, every time they saw a link or a review or a post.
There's that business Facebook profile. There's
boom.
that business Instagram profile. There's their listing over on Better Business Bureau. There's their listing on
There's
Yelp,
their citations. And then so imagine.
That's what he means when he says citations, by the way. It's all the other places where your business gets listed.
But every signal that comes through. So imagine them having all this big old bucket full of stuff, and they're sifting through it going, is this Joe Blow? Joe Blow. Or is this Dallas HVAC Company? I don't know. There's like nothing here, and I can't find anything.
There's nothing in this that tells us that this is this particular person.
They would know some of it, don't get me wrong, but you miss so much credibility for having a brand name that they can't cipher through all of the crud to tell for sure that it's yours. It's just not smart.
Right. The Google algorithm is smart but lazy. Yeah. It doesn't want to do extra work, and so it won't. And so especially if you're someone like you said, someone had you talked to a guy who had a fairly unique name.
Mm-hmm. You're trying to change it. I said, "Oh, please don't do that."
Keep your unique name, keep your domain. You're good. Now, some of you guys may have a competitor who has an old domain that is City Heating and Air. City name plus Heating and Air.
And you're like, "Hey guys, it works fine. I don't know what you're talking about."
Yeah, it works for them. They're grandfathered in.
Already know who they are.
Google has already established a brand. Those guys have effectively stolen the general phrase as their brand name.
At least as of today, I leave room for that to change.
Yeah, Google.
They could get pissed about that.
The next core update at the algorithm in the spring.
They could get tired of that.
They could say we're not gonna count that anymore, and that person could fall to nothing.
Yeah, we're not counting these guys with the city relevant names anymore because we can't decipher it. We're giving them this unfair credibility, and we're gonna just say forget it.
Right.
Right. So and if I had to pick some stuff, guys, probably the easiest thing for you to do to make sure that your brand. Understand that if you don't have all of this, Google grades everything to determine where you show up in ranking, and you need as many things as possible to beat your competition. So if you only have one or two things, it doesn't do as well. But some things that will help you is like reviews and working GMB accounts. Stuff like that will help strengthen your brand, but you need as much as possible. And if you're in a competitive market, which almost everybody is, you need some help from someone like HVAC Webmasters to help you get up there for all this stuff so that you can be found. And it's important. All of these little signals help determine your brand online, and to not be going after it is, death of your business.
It's foolish.
It's foolish, death of your business, or mediocrity for life.
Right. Right.
It'd be very tough to become successful without working on these things. Yeah. All right, somebody's calling me. Well, guys, I'm sorry, my buttons aren't working.
Nolan's phone is about 1,000 years old. Every year he tells me, I'm finally going to get a new phone.
It still works,
no new phone.
and I won't get any upgraded features to speak of,
Well, the buttons might work. That would be an upgraded feature.
I do have to mash it really hard to get it to do anything, and that didn't work because my
hold it at 90 degrees.
My
and
plastic
face south.
buttons from I'm sorry, the cover's on.
You have your case on wrong. That's a whole different problem.
Call us. We're excellent.
Competence in action.
I just unplugged it, man, to put it on my circular charger so I could get a full connection.
Oh,
I slapped the cover on right before I came over here. But I'm not even going to continue on that. All right, guys.
If you signed off before the call, this would not be recorded for posterity.
Right.
So.
I don't mind. I think people trust me well enough anyway. I'm not the one who actually does all the technical work around here anymore.
Yeah. I do that.
There's 30 fantastic people to do it.
Absolutely.
Guys, call us. We'd like to hear from you. We'll see you later.
Take it easy.